Hello, my name is Shelby Jerkin, and I am here with Business Class 343 with Professor Aaron Lockhart, and I will be discussing case number 10, question number 1. As the City of Ditchburn Personnel Director, how would you present your case that the transfer of Jose Abradas did not violate the agreement? To introduce you to the case, I will tell you a little bit about it. In Florida, the City of Ditchburn's fire dispatchers deal with about 90% of a Hispanic population that only speaks Spanish. A regular dispatcher that worked the 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift needed to take off about 6 months for maternity leave, which temporarily opened her position in her shift. The fire chief, Dave Franz, transferred Jose Abradas temporarily while he posted the open position, and he did this because Jose was bilingual. So when he posted the position, he specifically required anyone who applied had to be bilingual. However, he didn't get any volunteers or any applicants. So Fire Chief Dave decided to transfer Jose to the 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift for the remainder of the 6 months until the regular dispatcher came back from maternity leave. Now, Jose normally worked the 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. shift, and he had seniority to work other shifts, so therefore he objected to working 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift, but he was transferred regardless. This caused Jose to file a grievance stating that the city violated the collective bargaining agreement. So as the personnel manager, I would defend the city's rights by transfer the fire dispatcher based on the bilingual needs of the customers and the city. The points that I would use from the contract would be from Article 6, the management rights, Section 5, Article 10, no discrimination, Article 31, seniority, Section 1, and Section 4. I would also use the city's background on considering languages, abilities, and requirements per shift, as well as current hiring policies. Now, a description of the overall case for you would be that the fire chief, Dave Franz, transferred a dispatcher to a different shift temporarily for 6 months against his protest. Because of his language skills in Spanish, his seniority was not taken into consideration. Jose felt this was a violation of the collective bargaining agreement and filed a grievance. However, the city followed all contractual obligations and did not violate this agreement at all. The first thing I'd like to point out to you is Article 6, Management Rights, which states the rights of the city through its management officials shall include, but not only limited to, the right to determine the organization of city government, to determine the purpose of each of its constituent departments, to exercise control and discretion over the organization and efficiency of operations of the city, to set standards for service to be offered to the public, to direct employees of the city, including the rights to assign work and overtime, to hire, examine, classify, promote, train, transfer, assign, and schedule employees and positions within the city. So this gives the city the right to transfer employees and make those decisions, whether the employees want to do the transfer or not. In Section 5, it states, the delivery of municipal services in the most efficient, effective, and courteous manner is of paramount importance to the city of Ditchburn, and that such an achievement is recognized to be a mutual obligation of both parties in their respective roles and responsibilities. So this clearly explains that Jose and the city of Ditchburn had a responsibility to its customers to provide the best service that they could in their abilities, which might ultimately mean they help each other out covering different shifts. Now the next slide discusses Article 10, which talks about discrimination. In Section 1 of Article 10, it states the city and the union agree that the provisions of the agreement shall be applied equally to all employees in the bargaining unit without discrimination as to age, sex, marital status, race, color, creed, national origin, or political affiliation. Now, the fire chief posted the position and was unable to find any other bilingual dispatchers to volunteer, so he chose Jose to continue his transfer. This didn't violate any of those protected classes that we just talked about, so there was no discrimination violations involved. Now the next slide talks about Article 31, which is the seniority. So in Section 1 of Article 31, it states that all provisions within this article shall constitute the basis for establishing a uniform procedure of seniority for vacations, shift transfers, days off preference, and overtime. So seniority is included and taken into consideration when doing these items. However, in Section 2 it states that it is recognized that the principle of merit must be given consideration in any efficiency-conscious organization. Therefore, the department or division heads reserve the right to final determination regarding employee transfers, shift assignments, days off, and vacation time. So even though seniority is taken into consideration, the department or division head can ultimately make the final decision based off of what the city needs in regards to dispatchers. Another point I'd like to point out is that the city in the past 10 years has taken into consideration the ability to speak Spanish when doing shift assignments and hiring new team members. The city also has regulations on how many bilingual dispatchers work per shift. This plays a role in shift assignments along with seniority. And there's also a recent hiring policy that states all new dispatchers are required to be bilingual. So this shows the need and the importance of having a bilingual dispatcher available on every single shift for the city. So in conclusion, the city and the fire chief of Ditchburg did not violate any collective bargaining agreement because they adhered to the contract's provisions and testified about past considerations, regulations, and policies. So Jose will have to help the city out by working the 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift until the normal dispatcher returns from maternity leave or until another bilingual dispatcher volunteers or becomes hired. And if you would like, on the last page of the slideshow, it shows all the references I utilized during this presentation. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day.